Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Macclesfield Town Council Planning Committee meeting on the 5th of February 2021. We don't have any apologies for absence, so we can move on to declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest today? No? Minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on the 15th of January. Do we have someone to propose that those are a true record?
I move, Chair.
Councillor Edwards to move and Councillor Jackson to second. All those in favour? And that's everybody. Matters arising from the minutes. Councillor Wilson has some matters arising.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have a matter arising from page 3 of the minutes of the meeting regarding application 20/5442M. This was the application we discussed at our last meeting regarding the removal of condition 6 on the Telford Road and Worley Road applications. This is the condition that requires the 3 developers to jointly fund new traffic management arrangements for what's currently the Broken Cross roundabout. Councillors will recall that we resolved to object to this application. Also, last week I attended on behalf of this planning committee and the town council the strategic planning board meeting to speak about the related applications for the Telford Road and Worley Road site. That's applications 193097M and 193098M. And the planning committee will also recall we have submitted numerous objections against both of those planning applications. So I spoke on the first application for the 134 properties, and I'm very pleased to report, speaking with other councillors from other councils, Cheshire East Council and Henbury Parish Council, and also objectors speaking, this application was in fact deferred for a range of reasons, including those we are concerned about traffic management, air quality, the design of the houses, etc. As a result of that application being deferred, the second application for the smaller group of properties, 23 properties actually adjacent to Worley Road, that application was withdrawn by the planning officer on the basis that would have been deferred as well. And I also spoke about public rights of way access, getting access into the development without having to walk down the main road, footpath, cycleways, things like that. The reason I raised the matter arising, Chair, is that the application regarding the change for the traffic management has been announced as being taken separately to the housing development. I think we should object to that, and I think we should write to Cheshire East Council Planning Officer concerned and make it very clear that where there are developments of this nature, where there are so many things coming together, housing, air quality, traffic, and pedestrian cycleways, to take the traffic management part of it as a separate issue at a separate time really is not acceptable. So a bit of a long report back, I apologise, Chair, but I do believe we should write to Cheshire East to make it clear that we very much expect the applications all to be taken together to enable the strategic planning board to take an informed decision on all the aspects that relate to this development and affect the residents of Macclesfield. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I fully support that action. And do we need to vote for that action, do you think? That's a proposal that we vote, that we write from Councillor Wilson. And Councillor Edwards would second that. And all those in favour of that action? That's us all. Thank you very much for that report. Moving on to the applications, today's applications. We start with application 205839M, which is a 2-storey extension on Tollbar Avenue in Macclesfield. Anybody want to speak on this application? No, so no objections there. Next, we have application 200005M, which is a rear extension on Westbrook Drive in Macclesfield. Does anybody want to speak on that? All it says on the application is that there are gas pipelines in the vicinity, so there are safety procedures required for that. So I'm sure that will be noted. Next application, we have 205823M. This is a single story side extension on Newton Street. And we have a letter from a member of the public, which the admin and governance manager will now read.
Okay. This is a letter that was shared with us from Miss Linda Brooks, who is a neighbour of 95 Newton Street. Right to light kitchen. As is common with Victorian houses, the kitchen of number 123 Newton Street is in the outrigger at the rear of the property. It is proposed that the south elevation of number 95 be moved 1.6 metres closer to my property. The main source of natural light in my kitchen is a north-facing door with clear glass in the upper part. Bringing the south wall of number 95 closer to my home will reduce the amount of natural light entering my kitchen. Right to light dining room. The dining room has only one window, which is west facing. The proposed floor plans indicate how the 45-degree rule of thumb would impact on the amount of light entering my dining room. Although the proposed extension is single story, no reference is made to the ground level of number 95 being higher than number 123. The garden is about 0.95 metres higher and at my back door about 350 millimetres. The proposed development will reduce the amount of natural light entering my dining room. All of the window openings in my home are the original size. Victorian homes generally have less glazing than modern properties, and as a result, any loss of natural light therefore has a greater impact on the occupiers. Access for maintenance. It is proposed that there will be a 900mm wide path between the south elevation of number 95 and the gable of number 123. This would make any maintenance to the gable or roof of my home very difficult. A slightly wider path would enable the maintenance work to be undertaken whilst maintaining access to the rear of number 95. Car parking. The availability of on-street car parking in Newton Street is limited and causes problems for residents. Approving this application would reduce the amount of off-street parking at number 95 Newton Street, a requirement of the original application. Planning permission for what is now 95 Newton Street was approved under application 010123P. The decision notice makes the following provisos. Provision shall be made for parking of 2 vehicles, and in the final line, the spaces shall be maintained at all other times. My interpretation of this item is that off-street car parking for 2 cars should be completed prior to occupation and maintained thereafter. Any extension built at the side of number 95 would reduce the amount of off-street car parking to 1 car and add to the on-street car parking issues on Newton Street. I do not wish to give the impression that I'm against any development at number 95 Newton Street, and had this application been for a single-storey rear extension, it would have had my support. The cause of my concern is the side extension.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm the councillor for this area, Central Ward, and I am really concerned with the objections that the lady has noted here. There are some of them which are planning grounds, definitely. I think the others are not so easy to for the planning department to be able to refuse the application on. I'll take them one by one. The parking, I will just say now, I was not able to get hold of the original planning application. I searched the website, and I can see Councillor Roberts is also shaking his head there, to just get that paperwork. I could not see that application. But the way that the Cheshire East stands now on parking, I believe that property having it will maintain one off-street, off-road parking space, that the council would feel that was sufficient. So I think that one is difficult to pursue. The footpath between the pathway between the 2 properties, standing at just under 1 metre wide, that actually is quite usual in a lot of the properties in the streets. I do thoroughly understand the difficulties that that sort of thing causes, but again, I feel that the officer, I don't think the officer would be able to refuse it on those grounds. But the right to light, everyone has a right to light, and I would certainly, and I would hope that the town council will respond in asking the officer to take very careful consideration of the impact on light to your neighbouring property. And that is in my view, that is the main issue with this application. So my comment is for the, we recommend that the officer takes into consideration all the aspects that have been raised, but in particular with the right to light for the neighbour. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to second Councillor Jackson's proposal regarding our comments on this application. She's very clearly gone through why those are. I'd like to just add one additional point. Of course, there are retained Macclesfield Borough Council policies on right to light and overlooking, policy DC 38. I think it's quite correct that we ask the planning officers to ensure that those policies are adhered to in planning terms, and that the extension does not breach those conditions in terms of proximity and rights to light. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proposal from Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. All those in favour of that proposal? Thank you. So we'll send those considerations forward. The next application is 210008M, which is the demolition of rear two-storey non-original extension and replacement with another two-storey extension and replacement of all windows. This is on John Street in Macclesfield. Any comments on that? Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, just to comment that this is a property that's adjacent to the High Street Conservation Area, and just to report that the Conservation Area officer is fine with this application. It has his support. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So moving on to the next application, which is 210050. This is a proposed single-storey rear and single side extension where a pitched roof is replaced with a flat roof over the garage, and this is on Hammersham Close in Macclesfield. Any comments on that one? No. Moving on. Application 210074M. This is the removal of an existing conservatory to replace with a single-storey extension and installation of a balcony. This is on Pexhill Road. Any comments there? No. Application 210077M. Addition of a first floor extension to the side of existing dwelling. This is on Cheveley Close, Macclesfield. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. I just wanted to inform the committee that this is the house that was hit by lightning a little while ago, and I hope we look favourably on a planning application for them. Thank you.
Yeah, well, there were certainly no objections there. Next application, 204814M. Now, this is a proposed two detached 4-bed dwelling, and this is a land adjacent to Chelford Road. Do you have any comments on this one? No comments on that. No, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, just briefly, Chair. I noticed from the objections from the neighbouring properties regarding having conditions put on about piling, and I'm not quite sure where we stand on that. I'm not quite sure if they've got a legal argument there. It's normally a civil matter once the planning's been passed, so maybe it just needs clarifying, really. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Could I, Chair? Could I just
Councillor Edwards.
with Councillor Roberts? I don't think they're really objecting. They're just simply making a comment, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they are making a comment. Again, it is on a busy road. Yeah, so that's noted. Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, just to follow on from that, I don't think it is a civil matter. They can't ask for they can't expect a condition on the developer to pay damages to them if there are any issues. I think we can certainly ask the planning officer to put a condition about pile driving on, and I think to give some comfort to the neighbours. But as to payment for damages, I did note in the report that it had also been mentioned that there was heavy goods vehicles travelling up and down the road that was shaking the properties. It would be very difficult to prove whether a damage was caused by pile driving or by heavy goods vehicles. So it's a condition that I don't think is possible. But we can ask the planning officer to at least put pile driving condition on the application.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to application 210115M, and this is the consent for a sign on Winterton Way. No. Application 21.
Wait.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Jackson.
Janet first.
Sorry.
Yeah, no objection to this. And in fact, you know, it was really nice to see an application for what you might call a traditional advertising sign, not one of the flashing digital variety. So yeah, I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
I apologise. Councillor Edwards.
Yes, I find the signs quite pleasing and not offensive in any way. My one comment is that this, what they call a totem sign, is so high. Why do they need it sort of 10 foot tall? I don't quite get that in that particular position. But other than that, I don't find any objection to them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for those comments. Now moving on to 210109M, and this is the replacement of an asbestos garage and shed with one constructed from concrete blocks on Dalesford Crescent in Macclesfield. Any comments on that? Councillor Edwards.
Just a comment that we are being asked to grant planning permission for a replacement garage, which isn't there and was taken down by the previous owners. How do we know how big it was, whether all the asbestos has been removed satisfactorily and so on? But it just seems to be rather sort of strange that they're asking for planning permission for something that was taken away before they even bought the house. But anyway, it's just a comment.
Okay, thanks for your comments. Moving on, application 210118M. This is a proposed retention of an access track to stables on Ecton Avenue. Do you have any comments on that? No? Moving on again. This is application 210174M. Proposed demolition of existing conservatory on Field Bank Road. No comments there. Next, application 210199M. This is a proposed two-storey side extension on Blairgowrie Drive. No comments there. And next, application 210242M. This is a 2-storey side extension and single-storey rear extension in West Bank Road. Okay, no comments there. Next, we have application 202868M, which is new off-street parking and drop curbs at Higher Fence Road. And no comments there. Next, we have a application 210232M. This is proposed rear extension and internal remodelling on Lord Street, Macclesfield. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. Yes, I have no objection to this. It's in the High Street conservation area, and I've noted that the conservation officer has approved this, subject to the usual conditions regarding materials and treatment of windows. But also, could we also sorry about that.
Okay.
Also, could we just note the hours of construction on this one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Chair, there are conditions there as long as they're adhered to. I've got no objections.
Yeah, it is grade 2 listed. So yeah, that's that one. So we move on. This next one, an interesting one, 210287M. This is construction of a first floor rear extension with balcony and a side extension to the existing garage, detached garden store and CCTV cameras. This is at Aston House, which is on Macclesfield Road. Do you have any comments on this one? No? Okay, we'll move on. Application 210291M, and this is the addition of a garage at the front of the property on Manchester Road. No. Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Chair. I don't think this is the same application, but previous, when I was a councillor, we had an application similar to this that was refused on the grounds of, well, the only thing I could find out was that it was refused on the grounds of street scene. And the planning officer basically, I met him on site, took him to the property concerned, and we stood at Titherington School opposite the house, and he tried to convince me that that's the reason they refused the application. I thought it was a bad decision then. The guy just wanted to do, I don't think it's not the same property, but it's similar to this. So my point being, it'll be interesting to see what the planning officer does about this, because it looks to me almost an identical situation to the one I've previously encountered. Probably a bigger house, but nonetheless just a similar kind of double garage in front of the property. So it'd be interesting to see what the planning officer, I'm in favour of it, but it'll be interesting to see how the Cheshire East work it out. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for those comments. Yeah, so it was good to be consistent, but maybe not consistently bad. Next application is 210303M. This is a proposed rear and side ground floor extension on the Crescent. Next application, 210337M, and this is the building of a timber fence perimeter on Westbury Drive. And also it's an extension to existing dwellings. Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, I think this leads on to the new estate from Westbury Drive onto the new Bolling Meadow estate on Chester Road near the fire station. And looking at it online, it looks like certainly the fence would be a welcome addition, not only for appearance but for privacy and security, because I would imagine it gets pretty dark down there and some evenings, and the added security will go a long way to helping the people concerned. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for those comments. So moving on, application 210393, and this is a proposed change of use of offices, financial services to residential use. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. This again is on Central Ward, and I think we would all welcome change of use of offices to residential, particularly in a residential area. This is a lovely double-fronted bay-windowed property, and would make a lovely dwelling for a family. So I have no issues with that. I just had a concern about the actual plans that were not very clear. The detail in the plans was somewhat lacking. All we had were the actual layout and the various rooms there, and there are many rooms in this property, but no identification as to what those rooms would be used for. And looking at this, there could be a possibility of 4 or 5 bedrooms, maybe even more actually, quite a number of bedrooms. There was no indication of bathrooms or a kitchen or communal areas. So I do have a concern about a future use for this property. As we know, HMOs are, we're getting a lot of applications for those. It has a good garden, so good amenity space. So there's room for things like bin storage and a cycle store and electric charging point, things like that, which we always ask for. So I have no objection, but just making those comments on it. There are some concerns there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Jackson. This is the old doctor's surgery. It was a private doctor's surgery at one point on Walker Street, and it is a massive property. While I welcome the change of use to residential, my concern would be probably going to lead somewhere down the line to the HMO or maybe private flats, in which case, as it stands at the minute, the amenities are there, but it needs looking at should it be changed to flats or premises of HMO in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. Our final application today is 210333M, which is a proposed front elevation amendment, partial removal of a wall, insertion of a garage door and a drop curb to allow future garage use. Councillor Jackson. On 80th Street, sorry, in Macclesfield.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm sure all councillors will know this area. This property is opposite the Park Royal School. It's an industrial block, as you could see from the plans. Has quite a stark facing elevations, and at the moment is an IT company within it, and before that it was Shackleton's Pianos. To change this part of the building into a garage, I don't think we can refuse it. It's an acceptable use for that part of the building. There are going to be difficulties, drop curb, and also there is a raised area at the frontage that I know the applicant has been trying to remove to be able to get a shutter to come down over that area, which are quite, you know, within their rights to do in their property. So it's going to be a bit difficult to do this, but that's not a planning matter, and there is no reason to refuse it. The only concern I do have is with the prior approval that's associated with it to change the offices there into for residential use, mainly because of where it is within an industrial unit, an industrial area, and having no outside amenity space. But with prior approval, it seems that these sort of changes can take place without planning having any input into it. They will just be able to do it. But as with regards to the garage, to have the garage put in, I don't think we can refuse it. So I would say no objection to it. But I would like those concerns raised about the associated prior approval, that it's not an appropriate area, lack of amenity space, etc. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think those comments have been noted. To move on. Moving on to item 6 of the agenda, we have the conservation area review. There is an update attached to the agenda, but just for clarity, if we could ask Councillor Jackson to talk to that conservation area review, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, we had a meeting earlier this week. There's a small working group representing the council, and we had a meeting with the consultants, who we can now announce are Donald Insall Associates. You'll see that from within the report. They were the successful consultancy who won the tender. It was a competitive tender. And so we had an initial meeting with them, and also within that meeting we had the Cheshire East Conservation Officer, because we are working with Cheshire East on this conservation area review. The Town Council is funding the review, but Cheshire East are also taking part in it, and they will put out the final consultation. When we have the draft report, they will run the consultation. So it's a joint working in partnership, and Cheshire East will, at the end, Cheshire East will own the document. So this was just an initial meeting we had with Donald Insall just to lay the ground. The whole process will take at least 6 months and possibly longer. It depends on how government regulations with the pandemic and whether it's possible to meet in person and whether everything has to be done online. There will be stakeholders being invited to consult at various stages, and quite a lot of that will be around, obviously, the local heritage buildings. We'll be looking at the original conservation area review, and we can build on that, because, you know, why reinvent the wheel? There's a lot of work has been done in the past, and we can use that, but we also want to build on that and get more information. And the Town Council Recovery Working Group that's been set up over the last few weeks have run workshops, and people that attended those will also be invited to take part and give their comments on consultation with the Conservation Area Review. It tends to be the same groups of people who are interested in the well-being of the town, and so it's all a joined up picture really there. So we're just at the start of the, I say the journey, which is a bit of a buzzword, but we're at the start of it. But it's I think it's going to be a very worthwhile exercise, and of course it will become a supplementary planning document to feed in to our planning committee and to Cheshire East planning. So it will be very useful at the end of the day, and we will report back further to this planning committee and obviously to full council where required. Okay, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Jackson. Do we have any other comments on the review, or should we'll move forward now? Moving on to item 7, which is the town character assessment. As we say, we're as a planning group, we're quite very active in the town, and in terms of the conservation area review taking place, the initiatives with town centre regeneration, and another part of it is the town character assessment, which is taking place now. With the town character assessment, we had our first meeting on the 15th of January, and I'm chair of that group, working alongside Councillor Jackson and Councillor Wilson. And at that meeting, we're looking to develop a character assessment for the town based on things like transport, economy, climate change, landscape, flood risk, habitats, all the open spaces, the infrastructure of the town, housing, HMOs, community assets, King's Cumberland Street cricket pitch. So you can see there's an extensive list of things that we're looking at there. And we do have a recommendation which needs to go to the planning committee today to move forward. And the recommendation is this, that the planning committee ratifies the resolution made at the character assessment working group on the 15th of the 1st to prepare an invitation to quote for an appropriately qualified planning consultant to support the council in preparation of a character assessment, and that this report is then submitted to the next available full council meeting. So that's the proposal in place. So, Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second your proposal and the items contained in the documentation before us. I think this is a very exciting project. It sits very well with the project for the conservation area appraisal. It gives us chance as a planning committee and as a town council to set out our views about planning within Macclesfield itself. And the ambition with this, of course, is also to secure a supplementary planning document that will be considered by planning officers and developers making applications to develop in Macclesfield. And I support the recommendation that we get quotes from appropriately qualified planning consultants to assist us in the preparation of the character assessment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts, do you want to speak to this?
No, I was just going to second your proposal, but
Okay.
Councillor Wilson got in before me.
Okay, thank you. So let's propose and seconded. Those in favour? That's all. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, this is the Fence Avenue Canal Bridge. And I'm going to invite Councillor Wilson to speak to this.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Committee members will remember that the Town Council contributed at Strategic Planning Board to the application for the Fence Avenue development. And as part of that, we stated our interest in both the public open space aspects of this development and also the currently closed canal bridge from this development on Fence Avenue over to the canal. We resolved back in November 2020 to schedule meetings with relevant stakeholders. First of all, to assess the potential for tree planting at the Fence Avenue site in the public open space, to fit in with our Forest for the Future campaign to plant a tree for every child born in Macclesfield. And the second aspect of this is that there's a canal bridge that leads over to the canal where we could give safe public access to both the Herdsfield Road and the schools and shop there, and also to Buxton Road and the school and the shop there. We have an ambition to secure a way of opening that canal bridge. And to do that, we need to liaise with a number of stakeholders, the Canal and River Trust and the developers, David Wilson Homes, Homes England, King School, of course, who originally owned the land, and the Cheshire East Council Planning Department. So we've got two projects here. One is to secure some tree planting on the public open space, and one is to work with others to reopen the canal bridge. And we're making good progress. We now have meetings in the diary for March to meet with the appropriate stakeholders, and so I'm very pleased to report this project has moved from the initial planning and information stage to the stage where we're going to meet with relevant people. And I very much hope to be able to report some positive aspects on both of these two projects, which fit very well with our environmental concerns and the declaration of a climate emergency. Ambition for children to walk to school over the canal bridge and along the canal without having to go along a busy main road is something that I think we all aspire to, and hope to be able to report positive action developments on this in future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. That sounds wonderful. Okay, on to item 9, which is correspondence. A civic voice response to supporting housing delivery and public service infrastructure consultation. Just to note that correspondence. And any member items? No? Well, it's just then to announce the date and time of the next meeting. So that will take place at 10 AM on the 26th of February 2021. And following the same Zoom guidelines for the moment, sadly, but there we go. So we'll close the meeting now. Thank you very much.